everybody? This is Editing Smith. I figured I would give you a quick note before the video gets started. I'm editing it now and I'm starting to realize that this one is going a little longer than normal. And I figured for all three people who are going to watch this, I'd let you know that yeah, it's going to be a little longer. I'm trying to make it as short as possible, but this one is important and hopefully maybe it would help. There's a police officer who he needs somebody to see this or something like this, or someone else who comes up with it, whatever. So bear with me. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you watching. Now on with the show. Scientists have now discovered a new species of black toad. They warn this toad can be annoying and loud, even though you can't understand anything it's trying to say to you. It is extremely racist and mad that it is black. The technical name for this toad is a Roland Martin. That's right, it never shuts up. On a serious note, yeah, this is a Roland Martin story. Another one that is full of total BS that I felt like I really had to look at. It started just because Roland's a racist, race grifting hack. But it turns out that people like Roland and another guy who you're going to see here, they are putting people's lives at stake. And they're doing it to the people who need the country's help most of all, our police department. Now, I'm all for bad cops going away forever. But when you use skin color as an excuse to put a good cop in prison, especially in a place where good cops are hard to come by, you're no better than anybody else in that prison. And Roland Martin has proven once again to be a racist piece of shit who is willing to put people away based on skin color. Seems like he's guilty of the thing he's constantly accusing everyone else of. Funny how that works, huh? Anyway, I'm going to let Roland go ahead and give you the rundown of what this is real quick.
Another example, a black man being killed by cops over a basic traffic stop, a taillight.
Real version of what happened. Cop pulls a guy over. The county next door or down the road somewhere asked them to hold this guy for questioning. He was wanted, not on a warrant, but he was wanted for questioning on a serious matter. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the guy continues to argue with the police for a long time, too. Just constantly badgering and arguing rather than doing what the police are telling him to do. If Roland really cared about black lives when it comes to police, he would put out the message, hey, do what the police tell you. If there's an issue with it, settle that in court later. But he doesn't do that because then he wouldn't have videos to claim racism over. So I guess he'd be out of a job. I'm just going to watch this along with you. Here's Roland explaining in his own words what is happening here.
The family of a black motorist shot and killed by a Minnesota state trooper during a traffic stop is suing him, folks. Ryan Londregan fatally shot Ricky Cobb II during a traffic stop on July 31st, 2023. Londregan is facing a second-degree unintentional murder charge for killing Cobb. The lawsuit accuses the officers of unreasonable seizure and excessive use of force.
That's right. So that is the rundown. That summarized it up pretty good. But there are issues. And like I said before, this is not just a poke fun at Roland Martin, although I'm going to. But this is a serious matter, and somebody needs to give this cop the info he needs to get out of going to prison, because this is completely screwed up. So the police officer's name is Ryan Londregan. He is the one they are deciding to point the finger at rather than the criminal who got himself killed. Not saying he deserved it, but he definitely earned what he got. The guy who ended up being killed, the bad guy, was Ricky Cobb II. So we're gonna hear what the lawyer for the family of Ricky Cobb has to say.
Civil rights attorney Harry Daniels represents the family. Glad to have you here, Harry. So first and foremost, as always, what happened here? What happened with this traffic stop? What was the purpose of it?
Hey, Roland, thanks for having me. The traffic stop was based on a tail light that was out. And in fact, the state of Minnesota, after the killing of George Floyd, entered into agreement with the city of Minneapolis that the police in the state of inside of the city of Minneapolis or could no longer stop motorists for minor traffic equipment defects. So that we believe that the stop initiated by the state trooper was unlawful.
As you're going to see, Roland does not believe in doing research. He never seems to do research. He just jumps on the bandwagon of any story he can get his hands on that says white cop bad, black criminal good, and boom, racism. But since he does not believe in doing research, I decided I would go ahead and do a little bit myself just to kind of see what they're talking about here. So looking up the Minneapolis law that he says Minnesota law, but it's Minneapolis law. Here's the first page. I just took screenshots. Settlement places restrictions on Minneapolis Police Department traffic stops for minor violations. Under a new agreement with the state, MPD, Minneapolis PD, cannot pull drivers over for the sole purpose of minor violations like broken lights and mirrors. And here's the second screenshot. So the second paragraph reads here. Under the terms of a new settlement agreement between the city and the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, Minneapolis Police Department officers cannot pull over drivers for the sole purpose of expired tags, license plate issues, broken lights or mirrors, or failing to signal a turn, among other issues. However, officers can make these stops if they determine a risk to public safety. So I'm guessing you're going to think I'm going to hinge on the fact of that last sentence where, unless they determine it to be a risk to public safety. And I'm not. Here's the problem. That's a Minneapolis rule, not a law. And it applies only to Minneapolis Police Department. The cop, Ryan Londregan, was a Minnesota state trooper. Therefore, this rule, I guess he could choose to abide by it if he even knows about it. Or he could follow the state's laws and pull over cars that are illegally on the road, which is what he did. So, a guy driving down the road with a taillight out or whatever, it's an illegal vehicle. I've been pulled over for it. Lots of people have, not just black people. So, right there, if he's already making things up, and Roland is believing him, of course, because Roland doesn't look into anything. So he's not off to a good start. First accusation, boom, full of garbage. But even if it was true, yeah, the cop could have ran his plate and found out who he is, Ricky Cobb, who, spoiler alert, not a good person, and decided that, yes, he is a risk to public safety for one reason or another, and I'm going to pull him over. So sure, he could have been willing to follow the MPD rule, but decided not to because he knew who was in the car, a not good person. Okay, so what's next?
Once the stop was made, they ran Ricky Cobb's II's name. He had some type of civil order dealing with something in another county. The troopers made a phone call to that particular county and asked if they wanted them to detain him to bring him in answer to that civil order. That county said yes.
So what he's referring to is they called in, and a neighboring county, Ramsey County, had him in for a probable cause pickup and hold. So no, it wasn't a warrant, but it is something at least kind of serious if they need this guy detained for questioning. Now, from what I can remember, for the most part, police are allowed to detain and question anyone they suspect of anything without a warrant, at least for a limited amount of time. So, lawyer's point number 2, not exactly floating. So he has this probable cause pickup and hold for questioning, but why does he have it? Well, let's see if the lawyer decides everybody should know why.
And what was the civil matter?
We don't know the extent of what the civil matter was at this time. We get that through discovery, exactly what was the issue with the matter. I think it was some type of issue, maybe a domestic issue with one of his mothers of his children. But it was a civil matter. It was not a criminal warrant as such.
So they love saying civil matter like it means that this guy is wanted for something he did or probably did. It's interesting how this guy is his lawyer. Well, his family's lawyer because he's dead. This guy's the family's lawyer and he has no idea what the civil matter be. It could be his ex, his baby's mom, whatever, but he doesn't know. Right? Does anyone believe that the lawyer who's already taken on this whole thing and gone public with it and pressing charges and everything else doesn't know what the civil matter is? Once again, he's full of shit. Okay, so if the lawyer's already lying about things that don't even matter as far as the case goes, that means he has no case. So take it one way or the other. Either he's lying because he does know what the civil matter is about, or he hasn't researched things, which makes him a really bad lawyer. Either way, this case isn't looking very good now, is it? Let's see what else this lying lawyer decides to say about it.
They didn't tell Ricky that a county wanted to bring him in on a civil matter opposed to a criminal warrant.
They didn't tell him they wanted to bring him in for a civil matter as opposed to a warrant.
Okay, we have some stuff to talk about. It's Ramsey County, we just have to have you step out.
Hold on, is it a warrant?
No, it's not a warrant.
Did he just say it was Ramsey County? And then he asked if it was a warrant, and the cop said no. Once again, lawyer 3 for 3 lying. Also, notice that clip was clipped from Roland's news story. So the lawyer lied, and then Roland played the footage that showed that the lawyer was lying. What does this lying lawyer have to say next?
The troopers then came back to Ricky Cobb and asked him to step out of the vehicle. Ricky was asking them why do he need to step out of the vehicle? What's going on? They would not tell him.
So this lawyer thinks that if the cops have a reason to suspect somebody of something and they tell them to get out of the car, that the police should have to sit and have a conversation with him while he argues before he has to listen to their lawful order and get out of the car. The police already told him why, remember? He said, we need to talk to you about a civil matter, not a warrant. So, yeah, they told him why. And the fact that Cobb just keeps asking the officer why is just a stall tactic. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a hint here. The police know who he is. They've already checked his name. They've checked his criminal record. This guy has quite the criminal record, including possessing a firearm illegally in a car. He's already been arrested for that before. He's already been charged and found guilty of that before. So the police have a reasonable suspicion, probably, that he has a gun in the car and they need him to get out before they proceed any farther. He's a threat while he's in the car. He's in control more than they are, or at least just as much while he's in the car. They need him to get out of the car. It's that simple. So they make a point of this quite a few times, actually. So here's the thing with this video. I am the only one between the three of us who did any research. So what I did is that there were 4 camera angles. There were 3 body cams, 3 police officers, and dash cam from the police vehicle that was behind Ricky Cobb's. I went ahead and I mashed them all 4 together, and I picked the ones that had the best audio clip, but I still show you from different angles. So here's what the lawyer says again.
Clearly, in this video, Ricky is questioning these officers about why you want me to step out of the car. The officer tells him you don't have a warrant. He's like, well, why you want me to step out? We're talking about a defective tail light. What's going on?
The point blank here is that he knew he was going to jail. He knew he had a gun in the car illegally and not for the first time, along with whatever else was going on. But his lawyer's saying that the police should just humor him and have a conversation with a guy who's dangerous.
And Ricky is telling them, hey, let me call my lawyer, who he has a family lawyer, and let me call him. And y'all can tell me what's going on. In fact, they chose not to do that. You're like, hey, well, it's a lawful order. Now I want you to step out of the car.
So according to a lawyer who's supposed to know the law, if you're in your car suspected of something and the cop tells you to get out, you can say that you want to call a lawyer, and that's times. That means time out, I got to call a lawyer before you can do anything else. This lawyer is an idiot. He's grasping for anything he can make up in his brain to make it look like Londregan, the cop, was guilty. Ricky Cobb did everything wrong. He was arguing. And this lawyer is either too stupid to know that, or he's lying yet again. Sorry, I lost count of how many lies he's told so far. All right, I got one more perspective from this idiot lawyer. Let's see what he says here.
They did not want to have a conversation. It's like, just tell him what's going on. He's asking you. It's better to tell him what's happening than to pull a gun and shoot to kill this young father of 4 in his life at the age of 34 years old.
Oh, so it's better to tell him than shoot him. Because that's what the cops were thinking. We don't tell him we get to shoot him? Is that what it, like they knew it was going to happen? They knew that Ricky was going to cause a cop to shoot him? They didn't know that. It's not better to sit and have an argument with somebody in a car that you suspect of something or another. It's not better to sit and argue with them while they're in control in the car. You don't know if they have a gun. You don't know what they're going to do. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and show you right here why they might have wanted to be more in control of the situation before going any farther. Ricky Cobb had a history of violent crimes, gang affiliation. Records show. Cobb had 2 prior 2014-2017 felony convictions for domestic assault by strangulation. Twice. And a 2018 felony conviction for being a felon in possession of a firearm. That's what I had told you about. And he's fighting a child support order because why wouldn't he be a deadbeat father also? The criminal complaint in the 2017 Wright County strangulation case describes a violent episode during an argument with the mother of one of Cobb's children in which he reportedly punched her in the face several times and grabbed her by the neck, causing her to not be able to breathe. When the victim made 2 attempts to escape the apartment, Cobb blocked her and again strangled her both times. The victim was holding their 6-month-old baby during at least one of the attacks. So this third page, yeah, he has gang affiliations. Cobb claims to have made significant efforts to avoid being around firearms and criminal associates. Significant efforts. It's not that hard. It appears that based on his recent police contact during the process of this case, the circumstances of this offense, and his alleged gang affiliation, Cobb is in fact doing the exact opposite. And it was particularly concerning that even after being taken into custody after failing to comply with the terms of his conditional release, continued to make poor choices by associating with criminal individuals, drugs, and firearms. Also had 2 convictions for violating domestic abuse no contact orders, as well as a handful of other convictions for theft, false information to police, marijuana possession, which is whatever, and driving after suspended license. So just a week before this happened, he pled guilty to a felony count of providing false information to police as a predatory offender. Predatory offender. If that was a week before, I'm guessing that's why the other county wanted them to hold him for questioning. So he's violating a restraining order for being a predatory offender. And the cops know that. They also know he probably has a gun and maybe other stuff. Who knows?
Okay, so Harry, the camera that we're seeing is the second officer. Have they released body camera from the officer who's talking to Ricky?
We have not seen camera of the officers actually talking. It may be there, and I've not seen it, but
Okay.
I believe all the cameras been released.
Hold on a second. Did the lawyer for the family just say he hasn't looked at all the footage, the important footage, to see what's going on before filing charges on the family's behalf? Is he a hack just like Roland Martin? I mean, I guess to be a special guest on Roland, you have to be a racist hack. Yes. But did the lawyer just say that he's filed charges and hasn't looked at all the evidence? He doesn't even know if it's there? What? And then Roland, of course, asking about it means he didn't bother doing research either. But we have a story by 2 black guys claiming racist cop, bad cop, put him away. He murdered a black guy. None of them have done any research. He just admitted it. This case should be kicked out of court on the fact of stupidity by a lawyer. They're still acting like this guy got pulled over for driving while black. This isn't what happened. And maybe they don't even know because they didn't bother looking at evidence. Holy crap. All right.
So Ricky was, this is where Ricky was shot at the initial stop, and then that's when he took off?
Wait, pause. Did Roland just ask about when he was shot? Did Roland just prove even more that he has no idea what happened? He didn't look at this at all. All he saw was black lawyer, white cop. Let me get him on my show. Roland has no idea what's happening here. He didn't even know. Okay, let's see. Let me finish this clip.
And again, here's what I don't understand here. Even if he takes off, why are they firing shots?
Well, that's why we filed a lawsuit. Obviously, that's why the county attorney filed murder charges against this state trooper.
That's why the county attorney filed murder charges against the trooper, huh? You know what? Let's take a look at the county attorney who's filing murder charges against a state trooper. This one's fun. I'm sorry, I know this is a little bit longer of a video, but I have to do this because they're trying to put this cop away for murder. Actually, there are 3 charges. What are they? Second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and second-degree manslaughter. So this case is being brought up by a woman named Mary Moriarty. Here's a picture of her. See if you can't guess just from the picture what side of the aisle she stands on. So Mary Moriarty used to work for Hennepin County, which is Minneapolis. Used to work for Hennepin County Chief Public Defender's Office. 2014 is when she got that job, and apparently she was doing pretty good. In 2019, she was placed on indefinite suspension from Public Defender's Office for posting offensive content, creating a fearful environment in her office, and she fractured relationships with the criminal justice leaders. Well, was it reviewed? Yes, it was. In 2020, the Minnesota Board of Public Defense voted 4-2 against reappointing her to office. And what does she do in return? The same thing any Democrat liberal does. She accused them of being racist, sexist, and having double standards, because any liberal knows you say racist and sexist along with some phobic stuff and you win. If it weren't for racist, sexist, phobic, you wouldn't have any rebuttal to anything. So in 2022, she ran and became Hennepin County attorney. So what did she do in her race to become attorney? She campaigned on personally going after police. That was her campaign promise. I mean, she made others too, but personally going after police, not even referring it to another lawyer. She wanted to do it. So this lady made her entire career as Hennepin County attorney a completely race-based career. 2023, she gave plea deals to teens accused of second-degree murder, shooting a lady in a park. She gave them 18 to 24 months in juvie or shooting somebody in cold blood because they were black. And guess what? Even the governor hated her, and he removed her from a lot of these cases. And what was her excuse for this? Moriarty defended her decision, stating, "Our goal is to treat kids like kids. We know that kids that age are impressionable. They are impulsive. They're easily manipulated and subjected to peer pressure. Since they're black teens, they can blame somebody else for something. I don't know." And that's not all. She has been criticized over and over again for letting black people off of their crimes because black people are oppressed. Let's see, here's just a couple. Offered probation to 2 17-year-olds charged with murder. A person charged with sexually assaulting a 15-year-old girl. A drug dealer charged with murder after giving fentanyl-laced pills. A teen who was charged with murder after shooting a driver during a deadly carjacking. And a man charged with sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl. So this A-class lady sees race before even legal justice. There's a couple of clips from Mary Moriarty's press conference about arresting this officer.
As with all Minnesota law enforcement officers, state troopers may only use deadly force when it is necessary to protect a person from a specific identified threat of great bodily harm or death that was reasonably likely to occur. That did not exist in this case.
Really? There was no reason for the cops to expect harm to come to them as they were being dragged by a car. They could expect great bodily harm to themselves and to other people driving on the highway to where he was going to drive out and cause a giant collision, at best.
Our office has continued to investigate and review this matter. This thorough investigation and review is what led to our decision to file these charges.
You heard that, right? She said thorough investigation and review. Well, they obviously had to get someone who knew what was going on with it, right? Like a professional who could tell them what was happening in the videos and the investigations. Someone who would know better than some left-wing nut job, right? Let's see, did she ever call an expert?
So we were able to determine that charges were appropriate in this charge without the use of an expert. As I said, we determined through investigation that came after that statement that charges were appropriate without the use of an expert.
Oh, did she say that multiple times that she was able to determine without calling an expert? Here we go. So here's a press release that kind of invalidates what she said. September 2023. Moriarty announced she would consider prosecution of the trooper involved. She emphasized her consulting of a use of force expert, saying that their independent review would be a critical part of our process. She retained Jeffrey Noble as her expert. This guy had previously testified for Ramsey County prosecutors against police, and she decided that was the guy she needed, right? Moriarty stopped consulting with Noble after a meeting regarding his preliminary thoughts on the case, where Noble gave his opinion that the trooper acted reasonably in shooting Cobb. Why would she want to keep on with an expert whose, expertise differs with her personal opinion? Even the governor questioned her strategy, saying, "But as a layman on this, why would you not listen to use of force? Why would that not be central to something you do?" And advocating for the release of relevant documents in the case. The State Patrol's use of force expert also provided an affidavit stating that prosecutors in Moriarty's office had cherry-picked his statements to produce a criminal complaint against the trooper, who the expert said had acted in accordance with training. So overall, this means she's a crooked bitch. She's going after cops because she wants to virtue signal to the black community and to her purple-haired liberal lesbian friends.
They are not allowed to shoot at a car which is driving away. They're not allowed to shoot someone to prevent the car from driving away. They are only allowed to use deadly force if it will prevent great bodily harm or death to their partner or somebody else.
Why would they shoot someone who's about to drag them down the highway? It wouldn't stop them anyway. They should just let it happen. That's right. Shooting someone who's about to put yours and others at risk is worse than just letting it happen because, it might not stop the car.
Ricky Cobb II should be alive today. Our community continues to navigate the compounding trauma and grief that results from the tragic loss of our community members at the hands of police.
Wait a second, did she just say that? Did she just tell the future jurors at this cop's hearing that he's guilty? Losing community members at the hands of police while she's doing a press conference on the arrest of this cop. She's already biased the entire jury pool. I mean, it's Minnesota, it's Minneapolis, so they're obviously, already biased. Most of them are probably terrorists and Black Lives Matter, but she just biased the rest of them by admitting it was the cop's fault. Because of her podunk investigation, she's obviously corrupt. Obviously, even the governor knows she's corrupt, or at least knew. I don't know if he's still governor, but this is what you get, Minnesota. And now what? Now they want to, let this guy burn in the name of equity and all the other bullshit terms that they love to say. Freaking stupid ass lefties. Okay, so now I'm going to interject here real quick. I'm going to show you why I think this officer is 100% innocent. I think the officer made a split-second decision, and I think it was the right one. I think it's so hard to make a call in this case that an officer did something wrong when someone like Cobb makes an instant decision to do something to risk lives. What I did was I took all 4 perspectives of camera footage from body cam and dash cam from the police car. I synced them all together so they're on time, kind of give you the different perspectives, and I'll go through and it'll be quickish. I just want to give you the full story so that you can actually see what's happening and maybe even make your own mind up, rather than listening to someone like Roland or someone like the lawyer who's getting a payoff for saying bad cop, bad cop. And this is after they've already found out his criminal record and things he's capable of, including possibly having an illegal firearm in the car because he'd already proven that he's done that before.
He's just amped.
So the cops are walking to the car. Now, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but with the police car behind it, the lights look like the brake lights are on, but they're not. It's just the tail lights. A little further into it, you'll see what I'm talking about, but I just kind of wanted you to notice they are actually off, which means that he put the car in park.
How you doing, my man? I'm gonna need you to step out, okay? We have some stuff to talk about, okay?
What?
We just have some stuff to talk about. So I'm gonna.
Every time y'all talk about,
All right,
we
come
need
on.
some stuff to talk about, y'all finna take me to jail, but for what? Man?
Okay. There's some stuff to talk about. It's Ramsey County. We just have to have you step out.
Hey, hold on, no. Well, Ramsey County?
Yes.
Never.
Okay, go ahead. Just
No, because I call my attorney right now. Hey, this ain't no funny shit.
Okay.
But if y'all talking about that shit with Terry Young,
But you have to step out, okay?
hold on, is it a warrant?
No, it's not a warrant. I need you to step out there.
Hold on.
I'll explain it all out when you get out of the car.
Hold on, is y'all finna get on some funny shit? Y'all keep it a buck with me, bro. But if y'all finna get on some funny shit with me, y'all can tell me right now.
Hand me
So I
the
can
keys.
call my attorney.
Can you hand me the keys?
Can't hand you my keys.
Hand me the keys to the vehicle.
Why?
Hand me the key to the vehicle.
Why?
Just hand me the key.
Can y'all keep it a buck with me, bro? Y'all
Yep,
pull me over my headlights.
Okay. Yep. We already passed that. So like I said, you're gonna need.
As you can see right here, even though he's been giving them a hard time, you can see both of his hands. He's arguing, and the cops are still treating him respectfully. They do not seem like they're trying to get physical with him at all. They've asked him how many times so far to get out of the car. They are not being aggressive whatsoever.
You need to step out of the vehicle.
Okay, we passed that, so where we at then?
Okay. You need to step out of the vehicle,
So where are we at though now?
and I'm gonna explain it all when you step out.
But when you say step out of the vehicle, you gonna
Yes,
explain it to
this
me.
is not a lawful.
And then y'all, so,
And you can see that the officer who did the shooting opens the door and tells him to step out the vehicle and points the gun. This was not a case where a gun was warranted.
Hey, man, you've been super cool. Get out of here. Get out the door now!
Were there any actions that Ricky took to where he endangered the lives of the officers?
No.
Now I want you to watch that right hand right there. You see how it goes down? Now, I'm not sure the best way to explain this. If you're in your car, you have your shifter, right? Your gear select. In front of that, below the radio, most cars have a pocket, a console. Well, his hand moved down from line of sight toward that console. Now, as far as Londregan is concerned, he could have a gun in there. He could have a weapon. Who knows what? So let's check it out. Now, this is the driver's side perspective of Londregan on the passenger side. You see his right hand? As that door is open, what does he do? He pulls it into drive. See it right there? Here's a slow-mo. Goes into drive. The door isn't even finished being open yet. And then where does his left hand go? right on top of the steering wheel, ready to jet, ready to take off.
But this officer took it upon himself that I'm
Right.
going to pull this gun out on him. This black man who's already questioned, who's already afraid, and tell him to get out this car right now.
You heard him, right? Cobb didn't put it in gear. The cop just said, I'm going to pull up a gun on a black man. That's what I'm here for. Idiot. Okay, now here is the regular speed footage of Londregan opening the door after he sees the gear shifter go into drive and then point the gun as the car begins driving off.
As we allege in our lawsuit, the second officer's on the passenger side. But during that discussion, he opened the door, he pulled a gun out, and points it at Ricky.
Again, kind of hard to tell what's happening right there, but I'll go in slow-mo.
Once the officer initiated reaching inside the car, that's why he sued as well, reaching inside the car to undo Ricky's seatbelt. And he had opportunity. He could have turned the ignition off or whatever to stop, whatever he could have done, all those things, but he chose to reach over there.
Okay, this is the only thing of this whole predicament that I agree with him on. The cop on the driver's side opened the door and went for the seatbelt. Why didn't he go for the ignition? Why didn't he go to put it in park? Why didn't he just tase the shit out of this guy who's trying to take off with police standing there? I don't know the answer. I don't know if that was his training and that's what he's supposed to do. I have no idea. But what I do know is it didn't matter where he went. Ricky Cobb was already driving off. So, sure, he has a point. The cop went for the lap belt, but it doesn't matter. Ricky Cobb was driving off, no matter if he went for the shifter, the key, or the belt.
Then the one officer is attempting to take his seatbelt off. And once he reached, then Ricky came off the brake. He didn't hit the gas. He just simply came off the brake because now you got this officer on top of him.
Pause. This guy's a real joke. If Ricky wasn't planning on running, the car would have still been in park from when he was first pulled over. He would not have put it in drive. The cops knew he was going to take off because he put it in drive. So even if what this lawyer is saying was true, that his foot just came off the brake, it's still because the guy put it in drive. But it's not true. He was actually giving gas, and I'll show you the footage here in a second to prove that to you. So here's the view from the police car that had pulled him over. You can see the brake lights are on. Neither one of the doors is open. Cops are talking to him. If his foot's on the brake while he's in park, that means he's already planning on trying to get out of there. Now you see the door opening, and now you see as soon as he puts it in drive, see the brake lights turn off? Now, pause. Notice Londregan is not in the car. He has the door open, which means he put it in drive, took his foot off the brake, which means he was moving now. Notice the driver's side cop. He's still looking in the window. He's not even in yet. So, Ricky Cobb, at this moment, is attempting to flee. Londregan has the door open because his hand was in a threatening position. Now, let's roll forward slowly. Foot on brake, foot off brake. Foot on brake. So right now, Ricky Cobb is trying to decide if he's going to take off. And still, nobody's in the car. Now you see it rolling. See brakes again. Let's off the brake. And now, this time when he took off rolling, the cop is starting to get in on the driver's side. Londregan has his right hand on his gun, but he hasn't withdrawn the gun yet. There's no gun pointed at him. He's driving away with a cop in the driver's seat, and Londregan is now starting to react. He hits the brakes again because the cop leaned in over him. And then Londregan pulls the gun, tells him to stop moving. Watch the cop in the rear of the car. That car is pulling away from him. He even starts chasing it. Ricky is driving. Right now, I know it's a slow-mo, it's hard to hear. Londregan is saying, get out of the car now. Watch how far this car moves with both cops in it before it actually throws the cops, before you hear the gunshots. You see the cop in the rear? Now listen for those gunshots. Watch the car. There's no brake lights on, which means it's moving now.
Once he was shot, then Ricky took off because he realized that these guys are shooting at me.
Oh, he didn't take off until he was shot. See it driving? He was driving before the shots. Brake lights are on. Brake lights are off because he put it in gear. He tapped the brake, deciding if he wants to run. Go. Car is moving. Londregan is just now pulling his gun. Watch the rear cop chasing. You see Londregan's feet moving? That's because he's being pulled by the car.
There was no deadly force. There was nothing, issue of deadly force. There was no threat of any kind. But he chose to introduce a gun to a situation was not warranted.
Wah, wah, wah. Okay. I'm not going to keep playing him, keep saying the same thing over and over and over, especially since we know it's not true. It's absolutely not true. But I don't know if he's lying or just ignorant because he didn't bother checking any footage or anything. I don't know. But as long as you remember, white cop bad, black criminal good.
Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
Thank you very much. I am Smith. Appreciate you coming back. I'll be back soon. See you later.